this match. Intimidate really is important to slow down most of the Pokemon on Wolfe's team, but the only Pokemon on his side that can use Intimidate, or that has the Intimidate ability, is Salamence. Typically on a team like this, you'll see Salamence Mega Evolve and then lose the Intimidate ability, so he's going to have some decisions to make where if he goes too aggressive with Salamence too early, this matchup could get really tricky. Also doesn't have a great way to knock out Milotic, so there's going to be a lot of complication in this matchup for Ryota's side. Yeah,
and the Lycanroc team on Ryota's side is something that I believe we saw at the Japanese National Championships, but have not seen elsewhere. It did not get picked up on by any of the other regions, really. So we'll have to see if Ryota's going to be able to do it justice here in Nashville against former world champion Wolfe Glick.
Yeah, Wolfe tends to be pretty well studied, so I'm sure he's familiar with this sort of team. Not too dissimilar from what we saw in the previous round, where Excadrill is that big attacker in the sand. This time it's Lycanroc, rock type instead of Excadrill's steel and ground. So big rock type attacks are not really something you normally have to deal with, especially big single target rock type attacks. Wolfe's going to have to be careful with that with Charizard on the field, but Landorus going to immediately get that Intimidate off against Lycanroc and start controlling the field.
Absolutely. Intimidate onto the Lycanroc will be making it a little bit less dangerous against that Charizard, but Charizard hates taking any kind of rock-type attacks until it can Mega Evolve. Metagross, of course, avoiding that with its clear body, just going to be able to stick around, although both Landorus and Charizard have loved to see a Metagross on the field.
Yeah, they do, and I think that's going to be something that's really integral here, too. Charizard, as a flying-type Pokemon right now, could protect and allow Landorus just to use Earthquake. Wolfe, as tempting as that be, is going to have to be really careful. I think keeping Landorus healthy is really integral to this matchup for him, both because Intimidate is fantastic against most of Ryota's team, and also because it does have that pretty advantageous type matchup. They don't want to play too safely and allow Landorus to get knocked out, and I think wisely preserving it for later.
All right, switching out for the Milotic. Bringing it out, also still has a good matchup against Metagross and the Lycanroc, but will be switched out for the Salamence. So Ryota trying to get the Intimidate off onto Charizard will instead be activating the competitive on the Milotic. So Wolfe correctly predicting that switch in and going to get a big boost to that Milotic.
Yeah, brilliant play by Wolfe there. Like, it doesn't look super flashy. It's not like he scored a big knockout, but instead of allowing one of his Pokemon to get intimidated and take a bunch of unnecessary damage, he instead gets a stat boost.
Yeah, and there is going to be the Mega Evolution for Charizard, so Mega Charizard X, while Lycanroc just going for that Continental Crush, trying to deal as much damage as possible before Wolfe's team can get rolling here.
A single Intimidate on that Lycanroc, so it's not going to do its maximum damage, but this will hurt.
Oh, the Splintered Storm Shards, actually, from Lycanroc will be able to connect with Wolfe's Mega Charizard X. This is an animation I haven't seen in a very long time. Just going to dash forward with all of the shards of rock onto the Mega Charizard X, and is enough to pick up the KO. So even through the Intimidate, Lycanroc proving that it came to play. Howl at the moon all you want. Mega Charizard's going down.
Yeah, really good play by Ryota there. Wolfe got the Salamence Milotic interaction right. Not so much on the Charizard side. Needed to protect there. Getting Landorus out in the field does get a nice Intimidate off on at least one Pokemon who doesn't want to be hit by Intimidate. Salamence will have to wait to see its moves. Often see a bunch of special attacks from Salamence on these sand-based teams, but great turn one by Ryota. Gotta be careful with this Milotic, though. That's the trade-off, right? Like, you got the knockout because you correctly called the Charizard wasn't going to protect. Now he's got to manage the special attack boost from this Milotic to really get ahead in this game. The 4-3 isn't yet indicative of how far away this match has gotten.
And that's with 3 Pokemon that Milotic is happy to wall and hit for super effective damage. So probably not going to be too concerned about the Pokemon that Wolfe has already seen on Ryota's side with those boosts on the Milotic. Just going to go ahead and U-turn out the Landorus, trying to shuffle some Intimidates even more. There's a little bit of damage to that Lycanroc, and we'll see the final Pokemon that Wolfe has decided to bring in this game 1.
And Landorus moving first there, also revealing a Choice Scarf, so some good information for Ryota.
It is Kartana, like you mentioned, one of the more popular Pokemon. Rock Slide coming out from Lycanroc, dealing pitiful damage thanks to all of those Intimidates. Salamence just going for a Draco Meteor. That's a big attack, but will be hitting the Kartana, resisting the Dragon-type Draco Meteor. Still takes a lot of damage, but that Origami is a little bit thicker than it seems. And our first Rock Slide flinch of the tournament. Milotic not able to get an attack off this turn.
That's crucial too. And with Milotic getting that special attack boost, that's really the only way Wolfe is going to get some major ground in this game. And with kind of managing Milotic's health being Ryota's biggest threat, having that one turn where Milotic can't get a big ice or water type attack off is crucial. Also fun to see that Draco Meteor for Salamence.
It's been a while.
This whole sand thing's a bit of a throwback, and Draco Meteor also not something we see too often, but great damage from that one.
All right, Amoonguss had to be the final Pokemon for Ryota, otherwise no answers for that Milotic. Just going to protect with Lycanroc, while Kartana also going to go ahead and detect itself. A lot of protects across the board. Milotic showing the Icy Wind will be able to hit that Amoonguss for super effective damage on the switch-in. Thanks to the competitive boost, going to be dealing a better damage than it would have before. Amoonguss is also a throwback Pokemon that just loves to tank any kind of hit.
Kind of a tricky play for Wolfe here, because, like you mentioned, Lycanroc isn't really something we see. I can't imagine too many players are really comfortable with their damage calculations against a Lycanroc that's been intimidated twice. So it's really kind of the end of, like, what coverage moves does Lycanroc have?
Right.
So I guess Wolfe at worst going to get some information here, but it's hard to imagine, again, that not only is it just Milotic now, but Kartana's probably going to need a Beast Boost to get through this game. So maneuvering, do you go for it now? Do you switch out to Landorus? Having a detect last turn that didn't really do anything is tough because Neva's kind of off the table here. And Fire Fang, the answer for the coverage move.
Yep, so that's the coverage that Lycanroc gets. Fire Fang taking a bite out of Kartana, goes down. Milotic will be able to fire off with a Scald, though, to pick up the KO in return. So Lycanroc finally goes down, but did a lot of work this game, picking up the KO onto the Mega Charizard and now the Kartana. Amoonguss able to spore the Milotic because there's no electric terrain or misty terrain out here. So Amoonguss is feeling like it's 2011 all over again.
Yeah, that competitive boost isn't going to matter too much if Milotic is sleeping. And
never gets to do anything.
Yeah, and Ryota has really turned this game around. Milotic does pick up the knockout on Lycanroc, but Lycanroc feigns the hero here. He got two big knockouts, finished off the Kartana, got the one-hit KO on Charizard, and things are looking pretty bleak for Wolfe here. He does get Landorus out against this Metagross, but it's going to be tough for it to actually do anything. We saw that Choice Scarf, so if it locks into Earthquake, it's going to be a very complicated end of the game, and an end game that Wolfe's Milotic is not likely to survive. Because of that, perhaps goes for a Rock Slide and just really hopes. But Wolfe is in a tough spot here. It's likely that this former world champion is going to go down 0-1 here and have to go back to the drawing board.
All right, well, he will need to pull something out quickly if he's going to have a hope here. Ryota going to get more damage on the board with the Mega Evolution of his Metagross. So Mega Metagross on the field now. Partnered alongside with that Amoonguss, can Rage Powder away any damage that's single target at that Metagross. Going to be so safe there. Landorus actually showing it is a special Landorus. Goes for the Earth Power onto Amoonguss, deals some good damage there as well. Iron Head from Mega Metagross, though, dealing better damage back to Landorus. And, the Amoonguss there just feels safe to Rage Powder to protect the Metagross. Another Iron Head will pick up that KO and then just sort of cycle sleep onto Milotic.
Yeah, it's kind of a struggle with Earth Power versus Earthquake, right? Where you don't have to worry about damaging your partner, which is nice here, but also there's not any way to prevent Metagross from knocking out Landorus over 2 turns.
All right, a Rage Powder again to redirect the Earth Power from Wolfe's Landorus. Will be able to pick up the KO onto Amoonguss. Oh, actually not able to pick up the KO onto Amoonguss, just barely hanging on there. Mega Metagross, I'll show you how it's done. Here's how you pick up a KO. Iron Head knocks out Landorus. Milotic will wake up this turn, picks up the Icy Wind to sort of get the final damage onto Amoonguss, knocking it out. No more Spore threat. And able to drop the speed of Metagross since it lost Clear Body upon Mega Evolution.
I mean, that's massive. Like, I mean, don't feel like this game is over.
Yeah.
I mean, Wolfe really needed Milotic to wake up immediately, but he is totally back in this game. Metagross having its speed drop because it doesn't have the Clear Body. Salamence has to come back in now. This Intimidate will further increase Milotic's special attack stat. Wolfe is back in this one. Salamence may not know a move that does any real damage to this Milotic. Anything that Milotic now does is going to do an absurd amount of damage back the other way. This game, I think the results are still very much in doubt. If, Wolfe could maybe get another Icy Wind off, or try to catch Salamence protecting, there's a lot of things that could go right for Wolfe still.
Well, it looks like Wolfe's going to go ahead and protect itself. Sees the Draco Meteor again from Salamence and the Zen Headbutt from Metagross. Able to sort of scout out what attacks Ryota wanted to use there, protecting himself there.
Wolf also gets some crucial information. I mean, he's got to worry about game 1 still, since it's very much in depth. But missing.
Oh, that'll do it. A void on the Draco Meteor. Mega Metagross still fast enough to do a lot of damage with that Zen Headbutt. Icy Wind connects with both Pokemon, the Salamence and the Mega Metagross, and that is a one-hit KO after the avoid on the Draco Meteor. And I don't know, that looked close.
Yeah, Wolf's on the brink of being defeated, but he could turn this one around. You know, now a Milotic with 4 levels of increased special attack is going to be able to get that Water-type attack off on Metagross.
2 speed drops on the Metagross.
Yeah, if Milotic is quick enough to move first here, Wolf's in great shape, but protecting, perhaps either thinking he's slower or just trying to get some information.
All right, another Zen Headbutt, so Wolf just trying to scout and see what else he can get from this game 1. Ryota just trying to wrap this one up. Comes down to this final turn. Milotic just going for a recover. Not going to be trying to deal any damage right back, just going straight for the recover. Zen Headbutt coming out from the Mega Metagross onto Milotic. We know it's not going to be enough to pick up the KO. Still just barely hovering above that quarter HP mark as well.
It could be for a tricky spot here. Zen Headbutt can miss and also has a limited PP, and those are 2 things that could help Wolf here if he thinks he needs 2 attacks. Single Zen Headbutt miss is probably going to end the game unless Metagross can score a critical hit first.
Yep. Here comes the Zen Headbutt on Mega Metagross. Will connect with the Milotic again, and this time hits the quarter mark, will activate the berry. So Wolf be able to get a second recover that turn. Now has the opportunity to go for that attack.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make a huge difference in Milotic's health, but could be just enough. He's still, if Zen Headbutt hits twice, he'd still only get 2 attacks off here, but hopefully that'll be enough.
Milotic's fast enough, gets the Scald off, didn't need to go through all of that, just picks up the KO. Wolf just chugging for the cameras, like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering.
Good to know. I'll remember that for game 2.
I was a little confused there, where I figured the Scald would probably be enough with what it looked like Metagross's training was, but you know, often these Milotic are trained to be pretty defensive, so Wolf wanting to play it safe could have been very close either way if that was going to be a knockout or not. Kind of a strange way for the game to end, but the Draco Meteor dodge ends up being enough for the Milotic to turn it around. Speaking of that Draco Meteor, I didn't really get a chance to mention it during the game, but we saw at the end there, Salamence choosing not to Mega Evolve. There's no reason why it would choose not to do that unless it didn't have the option of Mega Evolving, so likely that this team is using the Mega Tyranitar instead. Otherwise, a little strange to just choose not to Mega Evolve at the end, or the Mega Metagross, rather.
Yeah, so Ryota actually played that game really well, had an opportunity to take that game home, but just, you know, Milotic slept in last night, I guess, and is feeling refreshed. Wasn't going to take a long nap, woke up early, and then avoided the Draco Meteor. You have to feel pretty good about that match if you're Ryota. Obviously, you would have preferred to win, but the way he played put himself in a pretty good position to take that game.
I mean, I would say yes and no there. I think there's kind of things to keep in mind on both sides of that. Yeah, I mean, he would have won without the Draco Meteor miss, don't get me wrong, but I also played that one really close. I think that the turn 1 of the game is really should go back to where Wolf messed up, where he allowed Charizard to be knocked out a little bit too easily, so he kind of lost the core of his team immediately. But Milotic was always going to be the most important Pokemon on Wolf's side of the field. He was able to preserve it well there. He set himself up to get that second Intimidate and made the switch to take the first. He did a great job of getting it powered up. I think both sides really have something to look at this game. Wolf needing to preserve Charizard a little bit better. Ryota needing to deal with Milotic a little more efficiently.
All right, well, here we go into game 2 of Swiss Round 2 here at the Pokemon Video Game World Championships in Nashville. Wolfe Glick, 2016 World Champion, up against Ryota Nishizawa. Really strong match from both players in game 1. Here's game 2. It is going to be a little bit of a switch up here. Tyranitar and Lycanroc for Ryota up against the Landorus Therian form and Milotic for Wolf. So getting that Milotic out immediately.
Yeah, 2 crucial Intimidate's going to go off from the Landorus here, but Wolf perhaps leading off the Milotic, hoping to get Intimidated immediately by Salamence again.
Right.
Ryota wisely not reading the Intimidate, avoiding having that option in the field, but if nothing else, Wolf likely has Charizard safe in the back this time, but certainly not going to want to bring it in against 2 Rock-type Pokemon.
Yeah, these are the 2 Pokemon that Charizard, had it been out in the field, would have immediately run away from.
Yeah, so it's still going to be tricky, too. Landorus also crucial in this matchup. Kind of have to switch it out. So it's Kartana who's going to have to come in and take some resisted rock-type attacks, perhaps, from these rock-type Pokemon.
All right, Ryota also going to switch out Tyranitar for Amoonguss. That Amoonguss was really important to Ryota's end-game last match. Another Rock Slide coming out from the Lycanroc, dealing just a little bit of damage to both Kartana and Milotic. Milotic will be able to get the Icy Wind off this time, not flinching from the Rock Slide, dealing a little bit of damage to both the Amoonguss and the Lycanroc, but crucially getting those speed downs.
Yeah, it makes a big difference there, just kind of managing the field where the damage isn't huge, but makes it a little bit easier to play future turns. And getting Kartana out here could be big. Wolf, we learned last game, needs to be very careful here. Doesn't want to take a Fire Fang on that Kartana, but at least slowing Lycanroc down a little bit, making things trickier for Ryota. Not a whole lot of threat going into this Amoonguss slot, so Wolf's going to have to be careful about a Spore coming toward Milotic perhaps, but even so, then, what's Lycanroc going to do? It's not going to want to stay exposed either. If this gives a little bit quicker, wouldn't be surprised to see some Protects and some switches next turn.
Yeah, Protect coming out from the Lycanroc and a Protect coming out from the Milotic. Both Pokemon probably under threat this turn. The Leaf Blade into the Lycanroc Protect and the Spore into the Milotic Protect. So just going to be like, yeah, I see what you're doing. Let's just all calm down a little bit and do this over again.
A pretty quick turn one with both sides trying to get ahead, and now they're kind of in this strange stalemate where they're both trying to target the same Pokemon. They both need to trade Protects there, where Lycanroc, we saw what it did last game, and Milotic as well. So both of them kind of just taking a turn, preventing that crucial Pokemon from using Protect. Pretty likely we'll see both of them switch out this turn.
Yep, well, Milotic is definitely switching out for Landorus. We'll be getting the Intimidate off onto the Lycanroc again if it decides to stick around. And also, of course, onto the Amoonguss, just for fun, because it hits both, why not? Lycanroc will stick around to go for the Fire Fang onto Kartana, but thanks to those Intimidates, not going to be able to pick up the KO this time. Kartana, however, is able to pick up the KO with that Leaf Blade onto Lycanroc, and now starting to get some Beast Boost under its belt.
Yeah, that attack boost is going to be a big deal. I'm a little surprised to see Lycanroc stayed in.
A Spore will come out from the Amoonguss onto the Landorus now on the switch-in. Probably not the biggest deal. Wolf is mostly just using that Landorus as an Intimidate bot.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to avoid, or he's going to lose the option of having those U-turns before he switches out, but otherwise, yeah, I mean, unlike Milotic last game, Landorus is fantastic as a sleeping Pokemon, since often you're just going to bring it in and out anyway. The big loss is the options now, where it's pretty obvious what Wolf is going to do most of the time when Landorus is on the field, unless he wants to just, go for a Protect, perhaps, try to burn some of those sleep turns on Landorus.
Yeah.
Maybe not care too much about if it takes a little bit of damage before he gets there.
All right, Salamence comes back out and gets the Intimidate off onto Kartana. We know that Landorus is special, so not too worried about that, but Kartana loses its Beast Boost. We'll actually be switching out the Kartana slot for Wolf's own Tyranitar, bringing in Tyranitar on Wolfe Glick's side, while Landorus sticks around, tries to burn some turns of sleep. Salamence actually going for the Tailwind here, so Ryota showing off some of the tricks that Salamence gets. Will be making his Pokemon incredibly fast, while Amoonguss just goes for Giga Drains onto the Landorus slot. So Wolf able to switch out that Kartana to get a free switch-in for his Tyranitar there.
Yeah, nothing too wrong with that play for either side. I don't think either of them are too concerned. The Tailwind could be nice, depending on how quick this Amoonguss is, although it's, I believe it's had its speed dropped by Icy Wind. So it's more likely to affect the Pokemon in the back. Also, importantly, again, we've seen this Choice Scarf on Landorus. Now, despite that, most likely slower than the Salamence is, and perhaps the Metagross as well if that's in the back. Ryota's going to have to find a different way to pick up some knockouts, though, with Lycanroc being knocked out this time.
All right, well, Salamence will switch out to preserve Intimidates for his own Tyranitar. Bringing out the Landorus as well for Milotic is Wolfe Glick. So Milotic now out on the field against Tyranitar and the Amoonguss. And we're actually going to see another Z move coming out, this time from Tyranitar, using that Darkium Z to unleash its full force Z move, the Black Hole Eclipse.
That's going to do some big damage here. You don't see these big Dark-type attacks very often, but there aren't many Pokemon in the Video Game Championships that resist Dark-type attacks.
Amoonguss just getting sucked up into the black hole and crushed by the sheer weight of the gravity. Amoonguss not able to survive that. Will go down as the Sandstorm also subsides. So we have a weird situation where Tyranitars have just switched in and the Sandstorm has ended because of it.
And Wolfe, once again, setting up a situation where Ryota has no choice but to activate the competitive ability of Milotic. Really great spot for him now, where in addition to the 4-2 lead, Milotic's starting to get carried away. It has an advantage against both of these Pokemon on the type chart. Yeah. And Tyranitar doesn't have that Sandstorm boosting its special defense. Wolfe has played himself into a really fantastic spot this time.
Yeah, and even in a worst case scenario, still has that Landorus in the back to cycle Intimidates onto the Tyranitar on Ryota's side. And Salamence, we've already seen its biggest attack is Draco Meteor. If Milotic can shrug off one Draco Meteor and recover away all that health, then Salamence is now a non-entity.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't want to lower your special attack when there's only 2 Pokemon left in the field like this. It's a tough spot for Ryota, where he's got 2 powerful Pokemon that really need conditions that aren't in effect. Tyranitar can't switch out and reactivate a Sandstream. Salamence can't really do anything to play around Draco Meteor. Wolfe just has an excellent pin here.
Yeah, and Wolfe will be switching in the Landorus to get the Intimidate off onto Ryota's Tyranitar just to protect Milotic a little bit more. And with that competitive boost, with the sheer bulk of Milotic, with the recover we've already seen, Ryota's going to need some work from these rock slides to get back in this game. Deals a lot of damage to Landorus, a critical hit, and a little bit of damage onto the Milotic. Icy Wind will connect with the Tyranitar, will drop its speed, which will become relevant once that Tailwind expires.
Yeah, I guess as they say, where there's a rock slide, there's a way.
Always a chance.
I think Wolfe...
And is it a weird position? That little bit of chip damage onto Milotic puts it down to about 50% health.
Yeah, there's a real chance of it being knocked out from here. I think Wolfe correctly identifying, he just needs to get rid of his Tailwind. Icy Wind would be great because it further lowers the speed of the Pokemon on the opposite side, allowing Kartana in particular to come in and start finishing Pokemon off. But now this is a weird spot, right, where you kind of want Milotic to be one of the Pokemon that's still around once Tailwind expires because it has the type advantage against both these Pokemon, but probably not going to be able to do this unless you switch it out and drop the competitive boost. So complicated turn for Wolfe now. We saw a really shocking turnaround in the last game. I don't think it's out of the question Ryota's going to do it here, so both sides are going to want to be really careful.
We are going to see Mega Tyranitar coming out from Ryota's side. So multiple Mega Pokemon on Ryota's team here. Going to go ahead and Mega Evolve and reset the Sandstorm. Pretty interestingly, going to be able to start getting some more damage off there. And we are going to see another Z move, this time from the Salamence. That's a Draco Meteor Dragon Z move.
Yeah,
that's some damage.
Yeah, this devastating Drake is not going to miss. There will be no chance of that this time.
Devastating Drake will be connecting with Wolfe Glick's Milotic, and 50% of hit points is not enough. Will go down here. Landorus still on the field, still asleep, has the ability to start waking up at any moment, but something tells me not going to get the chance. Ryota with the Mega Tyranitar going to just go ahead and crunch on down and force Wolfe to bring his final Pokemon out.
This got interesting quickly.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought I was crazy mentioning that Tyranitar might Mega Evolve after he knows the Metagrosses of the team, but there it is. Crucial, too. Not only does it get that stat boost from Mega Evolving, but also reactivates the Sand, which would have happened here anyway, I guess, but had Landorus woken up, would have vastly reduced the damage it took, and this got really interesting really quickly. Kartana's offense is great, but it's really not going to want to take a lot of damage from out of these Pokemon. Even Crunch from Mega Tyranitar could be close.
Deals a lot of damage.
Complicated turn now. The Tyranitar on Wolfe's side is definitely the one that has the potential to be a hero. Special-based Salamence is not going to do very much to it, so if Wolfe can find a way to get rid of Ryota's Tyranitar, that's likely going to signal a win for Wolfe. So whether Ryota can sneakily get an attack in or use its Protect wisely could be what this comes down to.
Well, Ryota's actually just going to protect his own Salamence, while Wolfe showing off one of his favorite moves, Substitute, and also going to go ahead and go for a Dragon Dance on his own Tyranitar. So Wolfe Glick spending this turn, setting up both of his Pokemon, while we are going to see, the same thing on Ryota's side. So, anything you can do, I can do better. And also, check out my sweet wings.
Yeah, everybody dancing here. You'd assume this is advantage for Wolfe with his Tyranitar moving first. This comes down to a bunch of rock slides. The flinches are more likely to go his way. But it could also going to be important to get rid of his Salamence quickly. We've already seen special attacks from it. If it knows Hyper Voice, that will deal damage through Protect, and Kartana could be knocked out despite having a substitute up.
Hasn't taken the special attack drop yet.
Yeah, tricky turn here where I don't know if either side was expecting the other to use Dragon Dance. Pretty awkward. They're probably both thinking, I'm definitely going to have the speed advantage next turn.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Surprise. They're not going to know what hit them. Really complicated turn, like you mentioned here. Wolfe's Tyranitar is the fastest on the field, connects a Rock Slide onto Salamence, and Tyranitar picks up the KO onto Ryota's Salamence. So no worries about Hyper Voice anymore because of how fast Wolfe's Tyranitar was. And Sacred Sword coming out from the Kartana will be enough to pick up the KO onto Mega Tyranitar. Wolfe Glick, 2-0, takes round 2 of Swiss over Ryota Nishizawa.
Yeah, things looked a little dicey for a second there, but Rock Slide connecting, and then everything suddenly got very easy. Really big Dragon Dance by Wolfe there.